Sorry, we're running a little behind this morning. Had some weird exception when I tried to go live that said no authorization header. I don't even know what that means, but we're gonna reboot, solve the problem, and here we are. OpenAI has gone for profit, and that's what we're gonna talk about this morning because y'all, the news is interesting. And honestly, the news is a little scary. We'll dig into that a bit, and yeah, I've got a few things to say about that, but I don't think it's a tough call. It's an existential quandary. I don't know that I would go so far as to say that AI is going to end us, but I'm not entirely salient on the matter either. Uh, so there's another story I wanted to pull up real quick that do. We'll use Reuters for this one. Timonian, Ayo. So let's pop over to the presentation window here. OpenAI becomes for-profit company in $500 billion deal. This is trending on X right now. I it's interesting. OpenAI established a for-profit arm valued at $500 billion on Tuesday, as in yesterday, doing so through a long-anticipated corporate structure that provides Microsoft with a large stake in the new company. I'm on the wrong mic, aren't I?
Okay, that should be better. That provides Microsoft with a large stake in the new company as it looks to expand on its rapidly expanding artificial intelligence offerings. So the key facts: Microsoft, longtime OpenAI investor, will hold a roughly 27% stake in the for-profit company known as OpenAI Group PBC, while a 26% stake in the company will be held by the OpenAI Foundation, OpenAI's nonprofit. Employees, both past and present, as well as other investors, will hold the remaining 47% stake in OpenAI Group PBC, which is valued at over $500 billion. Aaron Olson says, because the CEO most likely committed murder. I don't know if those two things are related, and that's Aaron. Send me a link, brother. That sounds OpenAI CEO murder. That's news to me. That's from end of last year. And hey, Sergeant Major, good morning. How did I miss this story? What? Okay, that's not something I have the time or the patience to dig into right now. That's something I'm gonna have to go look at later. Let's stick with I'm gonna stick with what I'm already prepped to talk about this morning, and then we'll have to go take a look back at that. So, tangent. SoftBank invested $30 billion in OpenAI earlier this year and would have been able to reduce its contribution to $20 billion if the AI juggernaut did not restructure by the end of the year, according to the New York Times, which cited an unnamed person familiar with the deal who said SoftBank has agreed to back its full investment. So, yeah, Aaron, way to just slip in and derail it. Wow. So, OpenAI going for profit. I have kind of mixed thoughts on that because I'm not a big fan of nonprofit businesses generally. Whenever somebody says that they've got a business that is a nonprofit, all I can hear is I'm a liar who steals money for a living. That's it. That because to say that you're in business, not for profit. Okay, what does McDonald's do? What does the business of McDonald's do? Right? We're all familiar with, most of us are familiar with the quote from the film about Ray Kroc, the founder, right? Which, by the way, if you haven't watched The Founder, great film. Absolutely great film. But in that movie, there's this pivotal moment where Ray Kroc is meeting with basically an investment strategist who explains to him, listen, Mr. Kroc, you're going around, you're setting up these franchises, you guys are buying the land, you're putting people into managed stores, et cetera, et cetera. You need to grasp this reality. You're not in the business of selling hamburgers. You're in the real estate business. Right? Okay, so that's a great quote, and there's a lot of truth in that. Right? At the end of the day, there's a lot of truth in that what McDonald's does, where McDonald's makes its money, is in real estate. But let's not mix words about it. Let's understand this clearly. Whether McDonald's understands itself to be in the business of selling burgers, in the business of real estate, or in the business of raising money for its charitable foundation, the fact of the matter is McDonald's, like literally every other business, is in the business of making money. Right? Every business is the same in this way. And if a person says they're in a nonprofit business, that's a lie. Because the point of a business, the point of doing business, is to source resources, is to make money. No matter what your business is. If your business is feeding the poor, that costs money. Oh, well, we don't keep any money. Do you make it? Do you do work to bring the money in? You're in the business of making money. Oh, well, we're a religious organization. We're a church. We're in the business of... Shut up. You have a mission. You have the job that you do. But Mr. Church, you're in the business of buying land, putting an edifice on that land, maintaining that edifice, maintaining a space for the people to meet for the purpose that edifice was erected. And all of that is money. Every pretty little penny of it. So OpenAI started off with this nonprofit organization, this nonprofit business structure. And that's always shady. Anytime you hear a person say it's not for profit, that should sound shady. Right? You got to pay employees. You got to keep hey, there it is. There's the comment. Pay employees. You have to pay employees. You have to keep the lights on. You have to pay taxes. Well, that's the problem here, right? When you say you're nonprofit, you're doing everything a business does. I don't care what your business is. I don't care if you make cheeseburgers or if you preach the gospel. It costs money to do it, right? The difference is whether or not you pay taxes. I'm not a fan of tax-exempt status for any entity. Santa Steve says, but as a church, as opposed to 501c3, you don't want the government auditing your faith. No, but I do want the government auditing books. If any books are to be audited, I want them all to be audited. But let's be real. I mean, I'm Lowry. I'm the Brushfire Mind guy, right? The fact is, I am 100% opposed to auditing generally by the government because we have a Fourth and Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate ourselves and to be secure in our person's properties and papers. I mean, this is a tangent from the topic that I want to discuss mostly this morning, but the fact remains that the very existence of the Internal Revenue Service and the individual income tax, which is compelled, right? It'd be one thing if it was voluntary, but it's not. It's compelled by force, under threat of death, under penalty of death. You must pay your taxes, which means that you have to report your earnings against which those taxes are calculated. which means that the very existence of the IRS is a violation of your Fourth Amendment to be secure your persons, properties, and papers. That the IRS exists is a violation of the Constitution. I mean, make no mistake, never forget that. Every IRS agent is a criminal. Every employee of the Internal Revenue Service, just like the ATF. That these institutions exist is anathema to your constitutionally guaranteed and God-given liberties. It is a violation of the social compact and the original ratification of the Constitution writ large. I mean, that is not an opinion. That is a fact of the matter. That is the law. That we ignore the law does not change what the law is. That we ignore the law is simply a reflection of our timidity as a citizenry, as a people. That we tolerate the continued existence of these unconstitutional organizations does not speak well to us as a free people generally. And that is something that needs to be addressed heavily. And as much as I hate to admit it, I'm not entirely certain how to go about addressing it directly. But let's move to this other article. So with OpenAI going for profit, that tells us that we can expect some major shifts in their business model in the offerings of the product itself. And I'm a fan of ChatGPT. I use the shit out of ChatGPT. And AI generally is a big damn deal, right? And I don't mean this so much to be a supporter of AI as it develops, as much as to recognize the reality of a changing world. I've used the example, and I'm not the only one, obviously, but if you are ignoring the power of AI right now and what it can do for you and what it is going to do to you, you're like any brick and mortar business in the mid 90s that didn't set up a website, right? You're Blockbuster saying, oh, well, Netflix would mail shit. People want to walk into the store and put their hands on videos and pick out what they want to rent. They want to make a plan on Thursday evening to come out and check out the new releases for date night, because they're gonna snuggle on the couch and eat popcorn with their honey and watch the new scary movie. Yeah, that's what people wanted to do, when the only option was that thing, which did not seem inconvenient until there was a more convenient way to do it. That more convenient way being Netflix. And that was before Netflix even went to full-on streaming. Sergeant Major says, AI wrote a glowing biography of me with only 20 words in the request. Yeah, I've done that too. And it's an amusing, pretty scary thing. But, and Aaron Olson says the experience of the movie rentals is missed. It is and it isn't, right? When I was a kid riding my bicycle over to the Blockbuster to rent the new release, or even better, to check out the bargain bin where you could buy, VHS and DVDs for like $3 or $4. You go in there with $20 and build a damn collection. That was really cool, right? That was fun. I mean, as a grown ass man, I ain't got time for all that shit. The streaming service is dramatically more convenient. And so story time, right? When I first enlisted in the Army. That was 2005. At the time, I actually personally I owned a massive DVD collection, right? And in my house at the time, before I moved out of there, I had several roommates. We had a nice big house in Savannah, Georgia. As I was packing up and moving out to go join the Army, I had to do something with all my DVDs, and there was no way I could tote them with me. So I actually threw away all the DVD cases and put them into CD wallets, which I still have. They're taking up space in a corner of a closet in the house right now, and we never touch them because, I mean, every now and then there's a few old cult classics that you can't find on streaming services. But we break those out and watch those from time to time. But even then, if I'll sit down with the wife and the kids, it's like, hey, we want to watch, whatever this movie is. Well, it's not on any of the streaming services. I'm sure I had that on DVD. Oh, cool. Yeah, but do you really want to go and flip through all the books to try and find it? Right. And I mean, they're organized alphabetically, right? It shouldn't be that difficult to find it. And it still just feels like a pain in the ass just to watch a movie. Oh. Cade is not wrong. It was not a big house at first. In fact, for the first, 3 months, we lived in a single extended stay hotel room, 3 grown men in an extended stay hotel room with 1 queen size bed. It was not the healthiest arrangement, but it did get us moving in the right direction and got us to where we wanted to be eventually. Whew. Whew. Oh, that is a rich mine. That is a deep well to dig some more stories out of, Cade, but that's for another time. My point was, the physical media have become inconvenient, right? This is very little difference to how the horse and buggy was displaced by automobiles, and that's one where you say, oh, well, God, okay, so horse and buggies went away and cars took over. Yeah, but you know how many full industries just vanished? Blacksmiths, Wainwrights, right? Horse breeders, hell, larger cities actually lost jobs for people. There was an industry to collect and sell the horse manure, right? No shit. All of a sudden, there was no shit, and industries went down as a result. Do you know why? Do you know why brownstones in New York City, especially in larger, older cities? Do you know why the brownstones, those cracker box flipping row mansions, they have the stoop and the tall stairway that goes up, and the entrance is on the second floor? It's because of the horse shit. It's because of the manure, right? That's why those homes were built that way. That's why they're brown stones. Horse and buggy came in, or the horse and buggy went out as the automobile came in, and boom, it's gone. So AI, the rise of AI is going to displace entire industries. Absolutely. You can look at Amazon right now. Amazon targets as many as 30,000 corporate job cuts, sources say. Essentially, they're going to replace entire buildings of employees with AI. Just like when the word processor was first introduced, entire floors of law firms, of accounting firms, things of that nature, entire floors of clerical staff were replaced, were just wiped out and replaced with a single piece of software run by, a tenth of the number of people needed to do the clerical work prior, right? Spreadsheets and databases eliminated research assistants in large firms to a great degree, right? It didn't eliminate the job itself, but it dramatically cut down on the number of employees that were required to do the work, right? Because you go from having everything in hardbound physical paper, like back in 99, 2000, when I was doing title examination, right? Real estate law, research work. You had to physically go to the courthouse in the county where the job was. So I did this all over Georgia, right? I did this in Fulton County, right, which is where Atlanta is, the capital. I did it in DeKalb County. I did it in Ellijay, right? I did it in Jonesboro. I mean, all over Georgia. I think the furthest south I ever went doing that was Macon. But basically from about Macon north, I did real estate title examination, deed dogging all over the state. You had to physically go into the courthouse, go down to the records room, and get the plat books. If y'all ain't never dealt with plat books, they're big, they're heavy, they're cumbersome. You gotta flop them down on a photocopier, on a large commercial size photocopier, stick quarters into the coin slot, and print your copies, and write your report, and then either fax it, or if you're actually doing the plat copies, you can't just fax them. You got to physically carry them back to the law offices that hired you to do it. That shit's all done online by not even email. Email's too slow now. You're using like Dropbox servers. It's all done that way now. And I guarantee you that means there are fewer people doing more work faster. Right? That is what the future is going to look like with the AI stuff coming in. So it's time, guys, some of you. Sergeant Major asks, should our Halloween party be a phone-free zone? This is a tangent, but I'm going to say no, just because people are going to want to take pictures. People are going to be taking pictures, and that's a good thing, right? People are going to want to take pictures with their phones. I'll be taking some real pictures. I'll have an actual camera out there, and we'll do some like legit professional photography, because hell, why not? Patrick Brown asks, didn't you have to use microfiche as well? Yeah, I did. Not very much, because usually we were doing the majority of the titles I did, Patrick, were limited refi titles, for which you only need a 7 years history. But I did do some larger commercial titles where I had to go 100 years back to establish. I got some funny stories there that are only funny if you've read PENDARS from cover to cover. So I'll refrain from dragging those out. But I did have to hit the microfiche for stuff that was over about 50 years old. And when I say over 50 years old, remember, we're talking about a job I did 25 years ago. So for the stuff that would now be 75 years old, yeah. So making use of the AI. And maybe this could be a whole nother show. Most people right now are using things like ChatGPT, essentially to be a replacement for Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, etc. They're basically using it like a search engine. Hey, ChatGPT, tell me how to bake a cake that looks like a walrus or whatever. Oh, well, first you need to go to the store and buy a walrus cupcake pan. Shut up. But y'all, it can do so much more. Now, one of the things that I'm concerned with is what it's going to mean for art, for the arts. Because we're real close. Right now, the stumbling block is time, proficiency, and financing. I know many of you guys have seen some of the AI music videos that I put out, and all of those that I've put out in the last couple of weeks are AI video, right? All of them, the music is AI. And about half of them, I had AI help me write the lyrics. There's not one of them where I let the AI write the lyrics entirely, right? Several of them are just straight copy paste. These are lyrics that I wrote either 20 years ago or very recently, and I want them put to music. Make it in this style, do it in this format, and go. And then for each one of them, I've gone through I've gone through a dozen or so iterations of the song based on the inputs through. I use Suno AI for the music. If anybody was curious, Suno AI is a lot of fun. It's great. If you're not doing any, you don't even have to be doing anything useful and productive with it. It's just a fun toy. You can go and just type real basic. Hey, write me a song that is a parody of. Well, that's getting a little in the weeds. You can use ChatGPT plus Suno AI to make parodies of your favorite songs to a limited degree, because Suno won't straight copy the backdrop. It won't straight copy the music from an existing song. Like how Weird Al does. It's like Pretty Fly for a White Guy, right? He did Pretty Fly for a Rabbi. But I think there's room if somebody's genuinely using it as a tool to craft art. Here's a prediction for you. Within the next 4 to 5 years, there will be college classes in the philosophy department under the heading of the philosophy of the aesthetic that argue the question not of whether or not AI art is in fact art. They're going to argue the question of where the line is between the AI-generated art being the product of the human artist using AI as the tool, using AI as the brush, the sculpting material, the canvas, etc., versus when you've crossed that line and the AI becomes the artist. That's going to be a major philosophical argument that is going to be held until humans are wiped out by robots. Right? People and eventually artificial general intelligence will be arguing about where the line is between the human being the artist and the AI the tool versus the AI being the artist. And there will be extreme examples where AGI starts generating art without any human input, as in it is not even asked by a human to generate the art, and it starts pumping out memes and music and movies, etc., without a human being touching it, right? And so then you'll have the extremes. You'll have, okay, here's a Van Gogh that was painted by Van Gogh, 100% human, no artificial intelligence, whatever. And here's, a schlock blockbuster that was entirely crafted by AI, entirely original, doesn't reference any other limited IP. Like it's not an AI original new installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the next line in the Disney Princess. It's 100% original. Completely, it's not even another retelling of the hero's journey or St. George or any of that. It's completely original, and there will be a difference between here and there. Sergeant Major says, does this mean Tommy Scott will replace Mario in the show? Absolutely not, because Tommy Scott is dead to me, and he's just going to have to stay that way because I don't need communists in my life. I don't need my life to be filled with people who despise my country and the work that I did for it. I don't need people that hate me for saving and safeguarding their liberty and their prosperity. I don't have any time for them. They don't have value. So no. Fuck no. Tangent. There will be, when that argument is had, there will be a great deal of contention on that hard line for pieces like I've done, where it's AI, it's an AI engine that generated the video, it's an AI engine that generated the music, right? But I wrote the lyrics and I wrote the prompt to create the video. I told the AI how to do the work. I told the AI how to score and compose and organize the music, right? And the example, the best example probably that can be used to kind of frame that conversation, you look at a movie. How many people are involved in making a film, right? How many people are involved in making a film? At what point is the director responsible for the product, or to what degree does the director of the film get to enjoy the accolades for the product as a result of his responsibility in how the product comes to fruition, right? Because the director might tell the actor, I want to see exactly this action, this emotion, this portrayal. And the actor might get damn close to what the director wants, but we're human, we're different, we're not the same things, right? The director's going to tell the art department, hey, I need this set to look like, a 1950s diner, and they're gonna put together something that looks like a 1950s diner. Well, there were a million 1950s diners. They weren't all the same. They weren't all identical. So there's going to be some interpretation there that is external to the director's influence, right? So if you're crafting art with AI, as long as you're directly involved in giving the direction, then I would say that you're most like a film director, right? Not a producer, a director. I want this. Well, here's 4 versions of the thing you said you wanted. Oh, cool. I like these 2, but they're not perfect. Here, take these ideas from this one and these ideas from this one, and let's put those together. Okay, here's 4 more. Okay, that one. Let's run with that one. There we go. So, all right. I think I've beleaguered this topic sufficiently. Let's go ahead and put a pin in it this morning, and I'm going to go and have me a good day. Y'all be safe out there. Thanks for watching this morning. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow. And before I wrap it up all the way, I'm sorry I barked a little bit about the whole Tommy Scott thing. Dad, I didn't mean to bark at you. But to be very clear, that relationship is burned. That's entirely burned because such an ideological, and I won't go into the details of the story, but such an ideological betrayal makes you question your understanding of reality. That a person could be so deeply broken and to hate you so much without having revealed that, and to have been a trusted friend and confidant until that betrayal, is something that harms you psychologically in a way that just cannot be adequately expressed in this kind of a limited format. So no, Tommy Scott will not ever be making an appearance on the Brushfire Mind under any circumstances. So